Good morning, everybody. This is Max Farrell. This is Dex Trader, and this morning we're going to be doing some 5-minute trades from the process. Now, listen, I get this thing on YouTube every once in a while. This character who comes on and he does nothing but just speculate and doubt and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. You know, if you're unsure, you know, if our system is real or what have you, that's completely up to you. But what I do with 5-minute trading is just so you know. This isn't about taking every single trade. I come in and I do a particular setup, and I'm usually at my computer for about 1 to 1.5 hours, and I'm waiting for 1 or 2 trades a day to come up in my time. My time is usually between 9 and 11 a.m., depending on when my Einstein window is, when I'm willing to work and do all that kind of stuff. And I do 2 to 3 trades a day at the most. Okay, because remember, I'm not here to put all these signals to the test. All right, there's no system in the world that could stand that type of mentality. What I'm doing is using the symbols and the directions and the other tools with it to create a process of elimination, or a process to get into a trade, having a flow sheet that I follow to be able to follow the trend and follow the signals to my variant and look for perfection. If you can't understand that, if you have an issue with that, then that's completely up to you. Keep looking for another system. I can't help you at that level. I'm here to teach you how to trade on a 5-minute level in order to be able to get you to a point of making the money you want to make, but you have to follow the flow and the rules to the game. Okay? And this is the game that we're playing. I'm not going to sit down here and fan thousands of dollars in front of your face. I'm not going to show you a live account with $20,000 that I'm trading a day, even though that I could. Okay, but the point is that you have to get to a point of being able to do the work yourself and figuring this out. Okay, using the tools that are in front of you will help you, but in order for us to do well together, you need to follow this flow. So that means these videos that I'm showing you, whether or not I'm able to get into a trade during our time together, unless you want to sit down for an hour and a half with me, it's all about learning the setup. Learning the setup well enough, once you get a couple, you'll see. All right, so we're going to go into this today. We're trying to find a trade to be able to get into, but I'm not going to force anything. Okay, and the other is that in these particular times, I remove as much distraction as possible. So trading while you on the video, as well as me trying to do, some are like, well, you could trade and do a video at the same time. Well, good luck to you doing it. I need as much focus on exactly me trading, because I don't like wasting my money, because I'm trading at so many accounts. All right, you ready? We're just going to get in. We're going to look at the AUD USD first. This has a pretty good connection right now with the... Oops, got my pen upside down. With a downtrend, so we're going to wait for we have these 2 up arrows. We're going to wait for a down arrow to happen on this. There's no news. I've already checked for news. There's no news. So we're down on the AUD USD. It looks like we're doing pretty good also on the next one as well. A little confusion there, but it looks like we started to head back down in a downward trend, and again waiting for a down arrow there. Excuse me. All right. Now on this one, we're kind of looking at that we have a sort of a double top happening right there in this last little bit. We might get some immersion past this box in this little consolidation, so I'll probably steer away from the Great Britain Pound USD for a little bit. It's because it is sort of consolidating, not really giving me a clear path here. We did have some movement here. We did get down low, but there was a small battle here. We might continue down low, so maybe the first down arrow here might be another good process. So, but if I have these other 2 up here waiting for the same thing, you see how we're sort of emitting down now, I might have a better time with it. One of those. And of course our little highlighted friend here, the USD JPY in the opposite mode, but again we it looks like we're getting a pretty good feel for an uptrend in this little micro time, setting these levels up. I think I feel pretty comfortable with that. If we probably looks like we're probably going to get another down arrow. If we get another up arrow from this, we might be in a pretty good position because we have some clear space to do. So I'm just going to sit around and wait for another 3 minutes from this position. Maybe I'll pause the video. I'm not sure. Maybe you'll see time speed by, but either way, let's see what happens. See, this is the boring part. You're sitting there waiting for something to happen, and I'm waiting for some trades to happen. You could also look at the other pairs that are here, but usually it takes me into a position that I start thinking too much about too many pairs. I'm really good at knowing where the four square pairs are setting up and how well they're doing from that point. Okay. Yeah, you see how the Great Britain Pound USD is sort of set up with this double top, but it's also, it got hit right here from this lower level. Remember, lower lows, that's what we're looking for. Even though that we had sort of an impulse go at this here, these lower highs, and then, you know, this double top that happened here, and it did immerse past that. If you draw that box at the high low right there, you got this immersion that's happening here. This is another good buying signal from that position, which is pretty powerful. And some people can use this when they see that top happen. They use that as, hey, look, this is a great possibility for a sell in that position. So just that's another type of setup. These videos are also to help guide you in learning the daily setups. Like yesterday, I only did one trade yesterday. And I sat at my computer for about an hour and a half. Now, when I don't get my setup, I don't have to wait 5 or 6 hours. So like if I had to on like a daily or an intraday, I could just get my setup almost immediately. Oh, and here we go. Now, here's the thing that just set up here too. We get this down arrow, which is within our trend, which is good, but we also have this support level. Remember, what we do in our flow, 1, we look for trend. We found the trend, it's down, right? 2, we look at support and resistance. We got our arrow. Once we have our arrow set up, we have a support and resistance area. How far back is that? And on the first 2 pairs, looks like they're right there. I didn't get anything coming in on, let me see if the Great Britain Pound, oop, I can get off this. Okay, here we go. Another support resistance area in the Great Britain Pound, and it looks like we could possibly go with the USD JPY. Let's pull a number now. So USD JPY has hit all the numbers. We have the up 1114 is the tip of the arrow, but what I'm going to kind of look at is look at 1111 on the site for audio for the USD JPY 1111. There's 1113, not really sitting so well. So we're going to go here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my $70 to get my maximum profit to be $30 for this trade, if I can get in. I'm going to put a working order on, because again, I'm not looking to chase the market. I'm looking for the market to do what it's going to do, and I set my level, and if it comes back down and gets it, I get it on a working order and it bounces off and goes, great. If not, then it's a setup that didn't happen, but I'm prepared for it. Remember, all the setup happened. Everything hit the flow. 1, we depicted the trend. 2, we found our direction and we checked our support and resistance. We're not anywhere near our support side of it, so it looks like there's no resistance above it. And 3, we looked on Nadex, and there was no price available for where our safe margin is at 11.11. So we went with 11.13, which is really close to our tip of our arrow. And since there was no price there directly, we put a working order for our area, which is acceptable within the flow. So that's where we're at. This is part of the trade. Yep, there it is. It just got filled. Okay, but we're also sitting on the recoil here. Okay, 13, 11, 111, 13 is the number, and 111, 14 now is the number that we're at. It looks like we're in positive. Now, most would be like, do I scalp? When do I scalp? We don't scalp at all. We don't scalp any of the 5-minute trades. The reason being is that we're in this thing to set up perfectly on this platform. And if we set up using this fundamental, okay, then we could easily just play the numbers. We play the odds from this point on, and that's where we're at right now. Now, lastly, let's look at this 111.13.9 was sort of where that number is, 114, and we're sitting at 13. So we're back 1 pip, which is pretty good because we want to keep about a 1 pip margin on all of our trades from spot Forex to Nadex, because remember, Nadex uses an indicative price. There we are, 111.15. We got about a 1 minute and 38 seconds left. Waiting perfection on these trades. Now the good thing is that we pull this off right now. If this happens to win us for our day, I only did 1 contract here. This is something I would normally do 10 contracts on because of where my balance is at. But again, being in front of all of you and keeping the things on, I want you to see when it wins. You can always imagine more money, and it's hard to look at this and go, oh, you know, yeah, there's 10 contracts. It was easily to do. It's not easy to do. You mentally have to prepare yourself to do 10 contracts. If not, you're going to be in a very bad position. And we're looking pretty solid now, but anything can happen. I don't usually even look at the screen from here. I usually go back over and look for another setup to wait for it to happen, and I come back, and if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. That's the mentality I have with it. Okay. But we're in 29 seconds, 28 seconds. It's going to be very early morning for me, which is great because I do 1 or 2 trades. I'm on and I'm gone. Right? All right, there we go. 7 seconds, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Looks like we got our trade in and we're on board. That's it. So what did you get in here with? What was the time? We were in for 12 minutes. You listened to me rant and rave a little bit, and we got into a trade. Now, look what happens here now, right? We easily, at this point, at 73.80, we would have probably won this trade. If we would have got into this, we would have probably had a good pair to get into. And you know, the Euro USD would have easily won as well from that position, but the setups were simple, right? I mean, because this is a against the norm. But look what happened. I want you to see this real quickly, just so you can kind of see what happened. The trade, the signal came out here, right? And what did it do? It bounced off. We knew that this support and resistance area was here, and it bounced off and went north. Just for a little bit. Now it came back and it fell down closer to the support line, but it still did exactly what we said it was going to do. Right? And if I would have taken this trade, I would have probably come back to maybe the other arrow here, or even higher, the previous highest, you know, within reason arrow. You know, I would have came back a few statements possibly to get myself a little buffer. But here, and as you see now, the support line, the resistance line is set up on the USD JPY, you know, which was at that level. So we came out very, very carefully. We were able to just get in, keep in that level on the USD JPY. But again, the setup was there. You know, we picked our, what did we do? We picked our, we picked our chart. We found out what we needed to pre-set up, right? We found our trend. We isolated our trends on each one, which direction were they going in. And one, we even found that the trend was probably just isolating for a minute, you know, and then of course it's reestablished itself. You know, we had these lower lows or lower highs and lower lows, of course. And then we validated it by saying, where's the support and resistance lines at? Can we back up against it? Do we have free range? And then 3, we negated our Nadex price, and we couldn't find something directly to get into. So what did we do? We called for our $30 profit margin. So we got about 28 bucks out of this in profit margin, and we're on board now, right? Now, with that, we got in, we made it happen, and now we just made our profit. So if you would have been trading 10 contracts, that would have been $280 that you would have just made from that position, if you traded 5 or what have you. But again, this is all about CVG. That's right. Consistency plus volume equals goal. And it is that simple. But you have to wait for things, and you got to get your judgment down to where you're not just getting in saying, oh, I need to make $28 right now. This is not about that $28. This is about waiting and following the flow of perfection. Okay? If you don't do that, you're not going to get the numbers to work out in your favor. Let me show you one last thing. If I do this one contract, if I did this one today, right, and I did 4 or 5 the other day, or I did 3, I ended up trading a little bit yesterday. I think it was like 1 trade I did yesterday. You know, that's 2 trades. And then let's just say by the end of the week, I make 6 trades, okay? And I've waited for perfection on every one. And let's just say I didn't lose at all. Let's just pretend I just didn't lose at all, and I got all 6 in that process, right? So 6 times 28. That's $168 if I just did for the week, right? And some of you are like, well, 168 bucks, that's not a lot of money. Of course it's not. To some, it might be everything in the world for them. 168 bucks a week for doing what? How long was I here? Yesterday, or for the entire week so far, today's Thursday, I've only worked maybe 3 hours, right? So if I worked 3 hours at this point, how much money did I make per hour, right? If I worked 3 hours divided by 3, that's 56 bucks an hour. I don't know who would shy that away. But how do I make 100 and, you know, how do I make $336, right? Because I traded 1 contract on this one here. I only make 6 trades and I do $28, you know, average. Now, some of them I make more. There's some times that I head over to Nadex, and there might be a $40 availability or you know, for the profit value in there. And sometimes there might be, I even got into once that the numbers were so good and the arrow was pointing up in an upward trend after 2 up arrows or 2 down arrows from a pullback, and the resistance line was just, or the support line was just right there, and everything was fitting so perfectly. I was able to get in, and where the price was at, I was able to get in at an OTM number of 56 bucks. Because it had fallen back down, the price had fallen back down below the line after I had gotten in, and I got onto another contract, and boom, it went north, and I made a buttload of money. Okay, this turned out to be a $500 plus trade for me because I had 10 contracts on. Get what I'm saying? So every once in a while, you're going to get these motherload trades where you get them in and they're really good, and it's holding so strong that it just goes north, and you know, you never see the light of south again, you know. And you make these times that you're not just making $28 for every trade. Sometimes you might be doing, you never make less than $28. You should never get anything less than that $28 or $20, $22 or $23. You should stay always north of $20, $22 in trading from this. But ultimately enough, and here we are. If we sat here again, we're waiting for the setup. What's the setup, right? We know that this is a downtrend. We've now established that it's reestablishing its downtrend. Here's another little double top again. And this little up arrow is pullback, okay? So the next down arrow is another, as long as it's past, it might have to be past this little support line here, but as long as it's past that, we're golden. And we're doing the same thing with the the USD JPY. Now, as long as the setups don't break each other, right? Like if since this is down and this comes up for an up and it comes up and it closes out up here, it's kind of broke the trend value, right? A broken trend value is no bueno. We don't get into trades until it does what? Reestablishes itself. And then you wait for that first arrow to come back into that direction and boom, we do what we just did. All right, I blathered on enough. You got it, you got it, you got to hit with it. You got to see it in action. Now get out there and practice it yourself. Keep going. I'm not going to sit here and try to hunt out 50, 60 trades for you because I got to get over and trade my own stuff. This is the beauty about 5-minute trades is that now I can go over and start trading live and get my bigger numbers on because I need to focus on just it. I close the door, I lock everybody out, and this is where I go make my money. All right? You go make your money, I'll go make my money. We'll see you in the flip side. And as always, this is Max Farrow from Dex Trader, and as always, trade well.